The emergency lights flickered in the dark hallway as Lee Dewan walked through the abandoned mining sector of Kepler Station. His heavy boots made soft echoes on the metal floor. The air recycler hummed quietly above his head. He checked his tablet for the third time that morning. Section G7 needed inspection. Again, Dewan had been working maintenance on Kepler Station for 5 years. He knew every pipe, every wire, and every strange noise the old station made. But Section G7 was different. It always felt cold there, even when the heaters worked fine. Sometimes he heard sounds that did not belong to any machine he knew. He turned the corner and stopped. The main corridor that led to G7 was blocked. Again, large chunks of space. Debris had somehow gotten inside the station walls. Ice crystals covered everything like a thick blanket. This happened every few months, and Dewan always had to clean it up. "How does this junk keep getting in here?" he said to himself. He pulled out his plasma cutter and started melting the ice. The debris was strange. Some pieces looked like old ship parts, but others were different. They had smooth curves and patterns that reminded him of animal bones. As he worked, something caught his eye. Behind the largest piece of debris, there was a hole in the wall. But it was not a normal hole. The edges were too smooth, too round. It looked like something had melted through the thick station hall. From the outside, Dewan should have reported this to station security. Protocol said any hull damage needed immediate attention. But something made him curious. He had been doing boring maintenance work for so long. Maybe this was finally something interesting. He made the hole bigger with his cutter and squeezed through. On the other side was a space he had never seen before. It was huge, like a hidden room inside the station walls. Strange crystals grew from the ceiling and gave off a dim blue light. The air felt thick and warm. Then he saw it. At the far end of the hidden space, something massive lay curled against the wall. At first, Dewan thought it was more debris. But then it moved slightly, and he realized it was alive. The creature was enormous. Its body was long like a snake, but thick like a tree trunk. Dark scales covered its skin, but they were dull and cracked. All over its body were strange growths that looked like barnacles on an old ship. These growths pulsed with a sickly green light. Dewan froze. His heart pounded in his chest. The creature was clearly not human, not even close. It had to be some kind of alien. But what was it doing here? How long had it been trapped in this hidden space? The creature's head was the size of a small vehicle. It had a long snout filled with sharp teeth. But its eyes were what made Dewan gasp. They were huge and golden, and they looked at him with clear intelligence. This was not just an animal. This was a thinking being. For a long moment, human and alien stared at each other. Dewan expected the creature to roar or attack. Instead, it just watched him with those ancient eyes. There was something in that gaze that made Dewan's chest tighten. Pain, loneliness, hope. The creature tried to lift its head but could not. The barnacle-like growths seemed to pulse brighter when it moved. Dewan noticed chains around the creature's body. They were not normal metal chains, but something that glowed with the same. Green light as the barnacles, Dewan took a careful step closer. The creature did not move. Its breathing was slow and labored. He could see its ribs through its scales. The alien was starving, Dewan said softly. His voice echoed in the hidden chamber. "Are you okay?" The creature's eyes focused on him more sharply. For a moment, Dewan felt something brush against his mind. Not words exactly, but a feeling. Surprise? The alien had not expected kindness. Dewan pulled out his emergency food ration and water bottle. He knew he should be running away. He should be calling for help. This creature could kill him without effort. But something about its eyes stopped him. They reminded him of an injured animal he had found as a child. Hurt, but not mean. He opened the food packet and held it out. The creature looked at the small ration bar and then back at Dewan. There was something almost like a smile in those golden eyes. The alien carefully extended its head toward the food. Its movements were slow and painful. The green barnacles pulsed angrily when it moved, as if they were trying to stop it. But the creature ignored the pain and gently took the food from Dewan's hand. It ate the small ration in one bite. Such a tiny amount of food for such a huge being. Doan felt sorry for it. "You are really hungry, are you not?" he said. He opened his water bottle and poured some into his helmet. The creature drank carefully, trying not to spill any. When it was done, the alien looked at Doan again. This time the feeling that touched his mind was different. Gratitude. Doan checked his watch. His shift would end in an hour. He had to finish his inspection and get back before anyone noticed he was missing too long. "I have to go," he told the creature. "But I will come back. I promise." The alien's eyes followed him as he walked toward the hole in the wall. Just before he climbed through, Doan heard something. A sound like wind through metal, but softer. Almost like singing. Back in the normal corridors of Kepler Station, everything felt different. The walls seemed smaller. The lights seemed too bright. Doan finished his inspection quickly. But his mind kept going back to the hidden chamber and its trapped occupant. That night, Doan lay in his small quarters and stared at the ceiling. He could not stop thinking about those golden eyes. The creature was intelligent. It was trapped. It was suffering. And somehow, for reasons he could not explain, Doan felt responsible for helping it. He had no idea what kind of alien it was or how it had gotten there. He did not know if it was dangerous or if helping it might put the entire station at risk. All he knew was that something was trapped and hungry and alone, and Lee Doan had never been able to walk away from something that needed help. Tomorrow, he decided, he would bring more food. Lee Doan could not concentrate on his work the next day. Every time he fixed a pipe or checked a system, his mind went back to the creature in the hidden chamber. During his lunch break, he gathered extra food from the cafeteria. Nobody noticed when he took 2 sandwiches instead of 1. He also brought a small medical kit and a larger water container. If the alien was hurt, maybe he could help somehow. Doan knew it was crazy. He was just a maintenance worker, not a doctor. But he had to try. The walk to Section G7 felt longer than usual. His hand shook a little as he squeezed through the hole in the wall. What if the creature was gone? What if yesterday had been a dream, but the alien was still there? It lay in the same position, but its golden eyes were already watching the entrance. When it saw Doan, something changed in its expression. Relief, maybe, or happiness. "I told you I would come back," Doan said. He unwrapped the sandwiches and placed them on the floor near the creature's head. The alien ate slowly this time, as if it wanted to enjoy the taste. When it finished, it looked at Doan with those intelligent eyes and made a low sound. Not threatening, but almost like it was trying to talk. Doan sat down on a piece of debris. He was still nervous, but less than yesterday. The creature had not hurt him. In fact, it seemed grateful for his help. "I wish I could understand you," Doan said. "Do you have a name? How did you get trapped here?" The alien tilted its massive head. Then something strange happened. Doan felt a gentle pressure in his mind, like someone knocking softly on a door. He did not feel afraid. Instead, he tried to relax and let whatever was happening continue. Images flashed through his thoughts. Not his own memories, but someone else's. He saw vast ships flying between stars. He saw creatures like this one, but healthy and strong, soaring through space without any machines. He saw a beautiful world with crystal cities and floating gardens. Then the images changed. He saw anger and shouting, though he could not hear the words. He saw the same alien, but younger, being chained with the glowing green restraints. He saw it being thrown into a dark place that looked like a prison ship. The images faded, and Doan found himself staring into the creature's eyes again. His head hurt a little, but he understood now. This being was not just intelligent, it could share thoughts and memories. "You were imprisoned," Doan said. "Someone put you in chains and left you here." The alien made that soft sound again. This time, Doan somehow knew it meant yes. Over the next few days, Doan visited the hidden chamber every chance he got. He brought food, water, and eventually some basic tools. The creature, who Doan started thinking of as his friend, seemed to get a little stronger each day. The mental sharing became easier too. The alien showed him more memories. Its name was something that sounded like wind through metal when Doan tried to say it out loud, but in his mind it felt like the word meant something close to eternal or forever. So Doan started calling it Youngwan. Youngwan showed him memories of its people. They were called something that translated roughly to the Star Dragons. They had once ruled a huge part of the galaxy, but not as cruel conquerors. They were teachers and protectors. They helped younger species learn to travel between stars safely, but something had gone wrong. Youngwan's memories became confused and painful when he tried to share what happened. All Doan could understand was that there had been a great betrayal. Someone Youngwan trusted had accused him of a terrible crime. The Star Dragons had a harsh justice system. When someone was found guilty of destroying innocent lives, they were cursed with the green barnacles. These parasites would slowly drain their life and broadcast their location to anyone who wanted to hunt them. It was worse than death because it lasted forever. Youngwan had been drifting through space for almost 200 years. The barnacles kept him weak and prevented him from using his natural abilities. When Kepler's station was built, he had become trapped in its expanding hull. For decades, he had waited to die. But you did not do it, Doan said one day. You did not destroy those people. The feelings that came from Youngwan were complex. Sadness, anger, but also something like hope. Hope that someone finally believed him. Meanwhile, Station Administrator Kim Suji was getting suspicious. She had noticed that Doan was working longer hours and using more supplies than usual. Food kept disappearing from storage, and several medical kits had gone missing. Suji was not mean, but she was thorough. She had been in charge of Kepler Station for 3 years and knew how to spot problems before they got big. Theft was serious in space. Resources were limited, and everyone depended on careful rationing. She started watching Doan's work schedule. He was spending a lot of time in Section G7, which should have been a quick inspection area. She pulled up the maintenance logs and saw that he kept reporting minor problems that required return visits. One afternoon, Suji decided to follow him. She stayed far back and moved quietly. She watched him disappear into Section G7 with a bag of food and water. But he did not come out for over an hour when Doan finally emerged. He looked tired but also somehow happier than she had seen him in months. Suji waited until he left, then went to investigate herself. She found the hole in the wall that Doan had been using. The edges were smooth and recently cut wider. Someone had definitely been accessing whatever was beyond that wall on a regular basis. Suji was brave, but she was also smart. Instead of climbing through immediately, she went back to her office and checked the station's original construction plans. According to the blueprints, there should not be any space behind that wall. She also ran a scan for unusual energy signatures in Section G7. What she found made her nervous. There were definitely readings that did not match any known station equipment. Something was in there, and it was giving off a lot of power. That night, Doan brought Youngwan extra food and spent more time than usual in the hidden chamber. Youngwan was trying to share more memories about his past, but the effort seemed to exhaust him. The green barnacles pulsed brighter whenever he used his mental abilities. You should rest, Doan told him. We can talk more tomorrow. But Youngwan had something important to share. Through the mental link, he showed Doan images of the station being built. Construction crews adding layer after layer of hull around an existing structure. Youngwan had been trapped when they sealed off what used to be an ancient outpost. The Star Dragons had built way stations throughout the galaxy thousands of years ago. Kepler Station was constructed on top of one of them, probably without the humans ever knowing what they had found. As Doan prepared to leave, Youngwan sent him one more feeling. Gratitude, but also worry. The barnacles were getting worse. Soon, they would send out a signal that certain people would recognize. When that happened, hunters would come looking for him. Doan felt a chill that had nothing to do with the recycled air. His new friend was in more danger than just starvation. There were people out there who wanted to hurt him, and Doan's visits might have accidentally made things worse by helping Youngwan get stronger. But as he looked into those golden eyes, Doan made a decision. Whatever was coming, he would not abandon Youngwan. The alien had been alone for 2 centuries. That was enough. Doan was replacing a broken air filter when the announcement came through the station speakers. Station Administrator Kim Soo-jae's voice echoed through every corridor. All personnel report to your stations immediately. We have visitors conducting security inspections. Cooperation is required.
Atch!
Dewan felt his stomach drop. He looked around the maintenance bay and saw other workers exchanging worried glances. Security inspections usually meant trouble. Pirates sometimes pretended to be official inspectors to get inside stations and steal supplies. But when Dewan saw the visitors through a corridor window, he knew these were not pirates. 3 tall figures walked with Suji toward the central command area. They wore dark armor that seemed to absorb light. Their faces were hidden behind smooth masks, but they moved in a way that was definitely not human. One of them stopped suddenly and turned its head toward the window where Dewan was watching. Even through the mask, Dewan felt like it was staring right at him. A cold fear ran down his spine. The lead figure was taller than the others and carried strange weapons on its belt. When it spoke to Suji, its voice was harsh and mechanical. Dewan could not hear the words, but Suji looked nervous as she nodded and led them deeper into the station. Dewan tried to continue his work,
Ow!
but his hands were shaking. Something about these visitors felt wrong. And worse, they were heading in the general direction of Section G-7 on the other side of the station. Dr. Park Min-ho was having his own problems. The xenobiologist had been tracking unusual energy readings for days. His instruments kept detecting something that should not exist on Kepler Station. The readings were consistent with biological energy signatures. They were far too strong to be human. Whatever was generating them was large and very much alive. More importantly, the energy patterns matched some theoretical models he had read about in classified research papers. Park had contacted his colleagues at other research stations, asking if anyone had experience with similar readings. The responses made him more worried, not less. 2 different scientists told him the patterns looked similar to energy signatures from extinct alien species, but extinct species should not be generating energy readings on a mining station. Park decided to investigate personally. He gathered his portable scanners and headed toward the area where the readings were strongest. Section G7 showed the highest activity, especially during certain hours when someone was doing maintenance work there. As he walked through the corridors, Park noticed the strange visitors. His scientific curiosity was immediately sparked. He had never seen armor like theirs, and their body language suggested a non-human origin. He made a mental note to ask Suji about them later, but first, he needed to solve the mystery of the energy readings. Meanwhile, in the hidden chamber, Young-won was becoming more agitated. The barnacles on his body were pulsing faster and brighter than ever before. He tried to share his distress with Do-won through their mental link. But the effort made the parasites flare with angry light. Something was coming. Young-won had felt this before, during his long years of drifting through space. The barnacles were designed to call hunters to him. When they reached a certain level of activity, they broadcast his location across subspace communication networks. The signal was going out now. Soon, those who wanted to claim the bounty on his head would know exactly where to find him. Young-won tried to explain this to Do-won through images and feelings, but the mental sharing was becoming more difficult. The barnacles seemed to fight against any attempt he made to use his natural abilities. Do-won understood enough to be worried. His friend was in immediate danger, and those strange visitors might not be a coincidence. The leader of the visitors called himself Vorthok. He spoke with Suji in the command center while his 2 companions spread out through the station. Officially, they were conducting routine security checks for compliance violations. Unofficially, they were following a signal that had appeared on their tracking systems 3 days ago. "We need access to all sections of the station," Vorthok told Suji. His mechanical voice made her skin crawl. "Our scans indicate potential security risks in the outer hull areas." Suji tried to stay calm. She had dealt with difficult inspectors before. "Of course. I can provide you with station maps and access codes." "Is there a specific type of security risk you are looking for?" "Biological contamination," Vorthok replied. "Certain alien species carry dangerous parasites that can spread through station life support systems. We have detected energy signatures consistent with such contamination." Suji felt a chill. She thought about Dowan's strange behavior and the energy. Readings she had detected in section G27. Could there really be something dangerous hidden in her station? I will assign one of my staff to guide you, she offered.
That
Will not be necessary, Vorthok said. We prefer to work alone. However, we will need all maintenance logs for the past 6 months. Pay special attention to any sections that required repeated repairs. Out. Suji's heart sank. Dowan's maintenance logs would definitely stand out. Section G7 had been visited almost daily for weeks. Dr. Park reached Section G7 just as one of Vorthok's companions arrived from the opposite direction. The alien hunter moved with deadly grace, scanning the walls with a device that looked like a weapon and a sensor combined. Park tried to look casual as he set up his own equipment. Excuse me, he called to the armored figure. I am conducting energy readings for my research. Are you part of the inspection team? The hunter turned its masked face toward Park. For a moment, neither spoke. Then the alien scanner began beeping rapidly. It had found something. The hunter ignored Park completely and began following its scanner's readings. The beeping got faster as it approached the wall where Dowan had cut his secret entrance. Park followed, tending to take readings while actually watching the hunter work. When the alien found the hole in the wall, it made a sound that might have been satisfaction. Without hesitation, the hunter squeezed through the opening and disappeared into the hidden chamber beyond. Park waited a moment, then followed. His scientific curiosity was stronger than his survival instincts. What he found on the other side changed everything he thought. He knew about the universe. The chamber was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Crystal formations glowed with soft light, and the air felt thick with power. But in the center of it all was something that should not exist. A dragon. A real living dragon from the old stories. But this one was covered in glowing parasites and wrapped in chains of light. It was magnificent and tragic, powerful and helpless. The hunter was approaching the dragon with its weapon drawn. The dragon's golden eyes were fixed on the alien threat, but it seemed too weak to fight back. Park made a decision that surprised even himself. He pulled out his emergency beacon and activated it. The loud alarm would bring station security running, but it would also alert everyone to what was happening here. The hunter spun around, raising its weapon toward Park. But before it could fire, the dragon moved. Despite its chains and weaknesses, Yangwen managed to lift his massive head and roar. The sound shook the entire chamber and sent both the hunter and Park stumbling backward, but the effort cost Yangwen greatly. The barnacles flared with blinding light, and he collapsed back to the chamber floor. The parasites began pulsing in a new pattern, sending out a stronger signal than ever before. On his bridge, Vorthok received the signal and smiled behind his mask. The target was confirmed. The location was precise, and judging by the strength of the beacon, the dragon was weak enough to capture alive. That would make the bounty worth even more. He activated his communicator, sent a message to his ship. Bring the containment unit. We have found our prize. In the maintenance bay, Dowan heard the emergency alarm and knew something terrible had happened. His shift was not supposed to end for another hour. But he dropped his tools and ran toward Section G-7. Whatever was happening to Yangwen, his friend would not face it alone. The emergency alarm echoed through Kepler Station as Dowan ran toward Section G7. His heart pounded in his chest. He knew the alarm meant Yangwen was in trouble. He had no idea what he could do against armed aliens. Behind him, Station Administrator Kim Suji was running too. She had been in the command center when Dr. Park's beacon activated. The location matched exactly with her suspicions about Dowan's activities. Whatever was hidden in Section G7, it was about to be discovered by everyone. Suji reached the hole in the wall first. She could hear voices coming from the hidden chamber beyond. One was Dr. Park, speaking quickly and nervously. The other was a harsh mechanical voice that belonged to one of the visitors. She squeezed through the opening, just as Dowan arrived behind her. What they saw inside made them both freeze in shock. Dr. Park was standing with his hands raised, facing an armored alien who held a strange weapon pointed at him. But both of them were staring at the massive dragon that lay chained in the center of the chamber. Yangwan's golden eyes found Dewan immediately. Even from across the chamber, Dewan could feel his friend's pain and fear through their mental link. The green barnacles were pulsing so brightly they hurt to look at. "Do not move," the hunter commanded Park. "You will be questioned about your knowledge of this creature." "I do not know anything," Park said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I was just following energy readings from my research." Suji stepped forward, her military training taking over. "I am the station administrator. You need to explain what you are doing here and why you are threatening my staff." The hunter turned its weapon toward her. "This area is now under our authority. We are claiming salvage rights on the captured alien." Captured alien. Suji looked at Yangwen and felt a chill. The dragon was clearly intelligent. Its eyes held too much awareness to be just an animal. "This is not salvage. This is a sentient being." "This is a criminal," the hunter replied. "There is a bounty on its head. It has been legally sentenced by the draconic hierarchy." Juan could not stay quiet any longer. "That is not true. He did not do what they say he did." He was framed. Everyone turned to stare at him. The hunter's weapon swung in his direction. "You have been in contact with the target," the hunter said. It was not a question. "How long have you been harboring this fugitive?" "He is not a fugitive," Dewan said, stepping closer to Yangwan, despite the weapon pointed at him. "He is innocent." The hunter made a sound that might have been laughter. "Dragons lie. It is their nature. This one has probably filled your mind with false memories to gain your sympathy." But as the hunter spoke, Yangwen managed to raise his head slightly. Despite his weakness, he reached out with his mental abilities toward all three humans at once. The effort made the barnacles flare with angry light, but he pushed through the pain. Images flooded their minds, not words but pure memory and emotion. They saw Yangwan's pass through his own experiences. The beauty of the Star Dragon civilization, the day he was accused of destroying a peaceful colony, the trial where his own brother testified against him, the moment the parasitic barnacles were attached to his body as punishment, but most importantly, they saw the truth. Hidden deep in Yangwen's memories was evidence of his innocence. His brother Muhan had destroyed the colony himself, then blamed Yangwan to cover his own crimes and gain power in the hierarchy. The mental sharing lasted only a few seconds, but it felt like hours. When it ended, all three humans were staring at Yangwan with new understanding. "He really is innocent," Dr. Park whispered. Suji felt anger rising in her chest. As a former military officer, she had seen injustice before, but this was worse than anything she had experienced. An innocent being had been tortured for 2 centuries because of lies and betrayal. "The bounty is legal regardless of guilt," the hunter said. "We are authorized to collect the target by any means necessary." "Over my dead body," Suji said quietly. The hunter raised its weapon, but before it could fire, Dr. Park acted. He had been slowly reaching for his medical scanner, while everyone was distracted. Now he activated its emergency strobe function, filling the chamber with blinding flashes of light. The hunter stumbled backward, its weapon firing wild shots into the ceiling. Suji lunged forward and tackled the alien around the waist. Her military training kicked in as they wrestled for control of the weapon. Dewan ran to Yangwen's side. "Are you okay? Can you move?" Yangwen's mental voice was weak but determined. "The barnacles. They prevent me from using my strength, but you have given me something I had lost." "What?" "Hope. And friends willing to fight for me?" Dr. Park was examining the glowing chains that held Yangwen. "These are not just restraints," he said. "They are some kind of technological parasite. They are feeding off his life energy." "Can you remove them?" Dewan asked. "Maybe, but it would be dangerous. The barnacles seem to be connected to his nervous system. Removing them incorrectly could kill him." The fight between Suji and the hunter was getting more violent. The alien was stronger, but Suji was faster and more experienced in hand-to-hand combat. She managed to knock the weapon from its hands, but the hunter pulled out a backup device. "Containment field activated," it announced. Energy barriers appeared around the chamber entrances, trapping everyone inside. My companions will arrive soon, the hunter told them. Surrender now, and you will be treated as witnesses instead of criminals. But Suji was not giving up. She activated her emergency communicator. Security alert. All available personnel to Section G7 immediately. We have hostile aliens threatening station crew. Through the station's speakers, her voice echoed everywhere. In his quarters, Security Chief Okusik heard the call and grabbed his weapons. In the engineering section, Nam Jiwoo dropped her tools and ran toward the emergency lockers. Pilot Shin Woo-young abandoned his flight simulator and headed for the armory. All over Kepler Station, people were responding to their administrator's call for help. But Vorthok was also moving. He had heard the alarm and knew his hunter was in trouble. Worse, the dragon's beacon was now transmitting on emergency frequencies. Soon, other bounty hunters would arrive to claim the prize. He gathered his remaining forces and headed toward Section G7. If necessary, he would destroy the entire section of the station to claim his bounty. In the hidden chamber, Dr. Park was working frantically to understand the Barnacle technology. These parasites are incredibly sophisticated, he told the others. They are not just draining energy, they're suppressing specific biological functions. What kind of functions? Suji asked, while keeping watch on their prisoner. Shape-shifting, energy projection, telepathic communication, everything that would make a star dragon dangerous to its enemies. Yangwon managed to send them another mental image. It showed what he had looked like before the barnacles were attached, not the tired, chained creature they saw now, but a magnificent being of crystalline scales and flowing energy. A creature that could fly between stars and speak to minds across vast distances. If we could remove even a few of the barnacles, Dewan said, would that help? It might restore some of his abilities, Park replied, but it would also make the remaining barnacles more active. They would send out stronger signals. Meaning more hunters would come, Suji said. Yes, but it also means he might be strong enough to defend himself. They looked at Yongwen, waiting for his decision. The dragon's golden eyes moved between his three new friends. These humans were willing to risk everything to help him. After 2 centuries of loneliness, he finally had allies. Do it, his mental voice whispered to them. Whatever happens, it is better than dying slowly in chains. Dr. Park pulled out his medical tools and approached the nearest barnacle. The green growth pulsed angrily as he got closer, as if it sensed the threat. This is going to hurt, he warned Yangwon. I have been in pain for 200 years, came the reply. A little more will not matter. Outside the chamber, they could hear running footsteps and shouting voices. Both friends and enemies were racing toward Section G-7. The battle for Yangwon's freedom was about to begin. Dr. Park's medical laser touched the first barnacle, and Yangwon's roar of pain shook the entire hidden chamber. The green parasite sparked and hissed as the laser cut through its connection to the dragon's scales. Dark fluid leaked from the wound, but the barnacle finally fell away. Immediately, Yangwon's eyes blazed brighter. The remaining barnacles pulsed angrily, sending out distress signals that made the air itself hum with energy. It is working, Dowan said, holding his friend's massive head as Park continued his work. I can feel him getting stronger. Outside the chamber, the sounds of battle were getting closer. Security Chief Okusik had arrived with 6 armed officers. But they were facing Vorthok and his remaining hunters in the corridors of Section G7. Stand down immediately, Okusik shouted through his megaphone. You are attacking Kepler Station personnel without authorization. Vorthok's mechanical voice echoed back. We have legal salvage rights. Anyone interfering will be considered criminals. Laser fire erupted in the narrow corridors. The station's weapons were designed for emergency defense, not military combat. Vorthok's hunters had superior armor and weapons designed for capturing dangerous aliens. Engineer. Nam Jiwoo crawled through the maintenance tunnels above the fighting, trying to reach Section G7 through an alternate route. She carried emergency cutting tools and portable shield generators. If the dragon was really innocent, like Administrator Suji believed, then Jiwoo would do everything she could to help. In the hidden chamber, Dr. Park removed the second barnacle. This time, Youngwon's pain was mixed with something else. Power. The golden glow in his eyes was spreading to the rest of his body. The chains, he said through the mental link. I can feel them weakening. The glowing restraints that had held him for so long began to flicker. As each barnacle was removed, Yangwan regained more of his natural abilities. But the process was dangerous. Park's hands shook as he worked, knowing that one wrong cut could kill the dragon. Suddenly, the energy barrier around the chamber entrance exploded inward. Vorthok stood in the opening, his weapon charged and ready. Behind him, the sounds of fighting continued as Kepler Station security tried to hold off his remaining hunters. "Stop the procedure immediately," Vorthok commanded. "The target's value decreases if it is damaged." Suji stepped between the bounty hunter and Dr. Park. "The target has a name, and he is under the protection of Kepler Station." "Your protection means nothing," Vorthok said. "I have killed entire crews for interfering with my contracts." He raised his weapon towards Suji, but before he could fire, Yongwon moved. Despite the chains and remaining barnacles, the dragon managed to swing his massive tail. The blow sent Vorthok flying across the chamber and into the crystal wall. The effort cost Yongwon greatly. The remaining barnacles flared with blinding light, and he collapsed back to the floor. But for the first time in 2 centuries, he had been able to fight back. Vorthok rose slowly, his armor cracked, but still functional. Impressive, but futile. He activated a device on his belt, and more energy barriers appeared, this time surrounding Yangwan himself. "Containment field at maximum power," Vorthok announced. "The target is now immobilized." Dr. Park tried to continue his work, but the energy field shocked him when he got too close. "I cannot reach the remaining barnacles," he said. Duan felt desperation rising in his chest. They had come so close to freeing his friend, only to be stopped by technology they could not overcome. But then Nam Jiwoo dropped through a maintenance hatch in the ceiling. She had been watching the situation and had an idea. "The containment field needs power," she said, pulling out her tools. "All energy systems have weak points." She began working on the crystal formations that powered the hidden chamber. If she could disrupt the local power grid, it might weaken Vorthok's technology. "Stop her," Vorthok ordered. But he was too far away and still recovering from Yangwan's attack. Suji moved to protect Jiwoo while she worked. "How long do you need?" 2 minutes, Guwu replied, sparks flying from her cutting torch. Outside, the battle was turning against Kepler Station security. The hunters' superior weapons were overwhelming the station's defenses. Pilot Shin Woo-young arrived with more personnel, but they were taking heavy casualties. "We need to evacuate this section," Kusik reported through his communicator. "We cannot hold them much longer." But Communications Officer Bei Haijin had been monitoring the hunters' transmissions. "Chief, I am picking up their command frequencies. They are not just here for salvage. They have specific orders to capture something alive." Kusik understood immediately. Whatever was hidden in Section G7 was not just valuable. It was important enough for professional alien mercenaries to attack a human station. "All units, hold your positions," he commanded. "Whatever they want, we do not let them have it." In the hidden chamber, Nam Jiwoo's sabotage was working. The containment field around Yongwan began to flicker and weaken now, she shouted to Dr. Park, "before it stabilizes." Park dove forward and managed to remove 2 more barnacles before the field strengthened again, but those few seconds were enough. Yangwan's transformation was remarkable. The golden light spreading through his body began to crack the remaining chains. His scales, dull and gray for so long, started to shimmer with inner fire. Most importantly, his mental voice became clear and strong for the first time since Duan had met him. "My friends," he said to all the humans in the chamber, "you have given me something I thought was lost forever. You have given me hope." Images flowed from his mind to theirs, not painful memories this time, but visions of what could be. Star dragons and humans working together. Ships traveling between worlds in peace. The knowledge and wisdom of an ancient civilization shared freely with younger species. "That is what my people used to do," Yangwan explained. "We were teachers, not conquerors. We helped others reach for the stars." Vorthok had recovered enough to stand. Enough sentiment. "The target comes with me, willing or not." He raised a new weapon, something larger and more dangerous than before. But as he prepared to fire, Hongwen did something none of them expected. He began to sing. The sound was unlike anything the humans had ever heard. It was like wind through metal, like distant thunder, like the voices of stars themselves. The melody filled the chamber and spread beyond, echoing through the corridors of Kepler Station. The song carried power, ancient power that had been locked away by the barnacles for 2 centuries. As Yongwan sang, the remaining chains began to crack and break. But more importantly, his song carried his memories and emotions to every person on the station. Everyone could suddenly see what he had seen, feel what he had felt. They understood his innocence, his suffering, and his hope. Throughout Kepler Station, people stopped fighting and listened. Even some of Vorthak's hunters hesitated, affected by the dragon's song of truth. Impossible, Vorthak snarled. The parasites should prevent any manifestation of power. You forgot something? Doan said, standing protectively near his friend. The barnacles work by isolating him from hope and friendship. But he is not alone anymore. Suji, Park Jiwoo, and Doan stood together between Vorthak and Yongwan. They were just humans with basic tools and weapons, facing a professional alien hunter with superior technology. But they were not backing down. You want him? Suji said firmly. You go through us first, Vorthak laughed. Gladly, raised his weapon and fired. Vorthak's weapon fired, but the energy blast never reached the humans. Yongwan, despite his remaining chains, managed to raise a shimmering barrier of golden light. The blast struck the barrier and scattered harmlessly, but the effort was enormous. 3 more barnacles cracked and fell away from the strain, and Yongwan collapsed to the chamber floor, breathing heavily. Impossible, Vorthak snarled. The containment fields should prevent any energy projection. Namjuwu smiled grimly from her position near the crystal formations. Not when someone cuts the power cables to your field generator. The containment barrier around Yongwan flickered and died completely. For the first time in 2 centuries, the dragon was truly free to move. Dr. Park rushed forward with his tools. I can remove the rest of the barnacles now. But I need time. You'll have it, Suji said. She activated her emergency communicator. All station personnel. This is Administrator Suji. The alien in Section G7 is not a threat. He is a refugee who needs our protection. The real threat is the bounty hunters who are attacking our people. Throughout Kepler Station, the fighting began to change. Security Chief Cusick's forces had been holding defensive positions, but now they pushed forward with new determination. They were not just following orders anymore. They were protecting someone who needed help. In the hidden chamber, Dr. Park worked faster than he ever had before. Each barnacle he removed made Yongwan stronger, but it also made the remaining parasites more desperate. They pulsed with angry light and sent out stronger distress signals. More hunters will come, Yongwan warned through the mental link. The barnacles are calling for reinforcements, and we better finish this quickly, Doan said. Park's laser cut through the connection of another barnacle. As it fell away, something amazing happened. Data began flowing from Yongwan's mind in the form of pure light. Holographic images appeared in the air above him, showing star charts, scientific formulas, and historical records. The data crystal, Yongwan explained weakly. It contains proof of my innocence. But more than that, it holds the location of the last free dragon colonies. The holographic display showed a map of the galaxy with several points marked in golden light. These were places where star dragons still lived in hiding, afraid to reveal themselves because of the bounty hunters. My people scattered after the great betrayal, Yongwen continued. They live in fear, believing they are the last of their kind. This crystal will show them they are not alone. Dr. Park removed 2 more barnacles in quick succession. With each one that fell, the holographic data became clearer and more detailed. But they also heard something else. The sound of approaching ships. Vorthak called for backup, Suji said, checking her scanners. 3 more hunter ships are approaching the station. Vorthak himself had been quiet during the procedure, but now he activated a personal shield and stepped forward. The reinforcements will be here in minutes. Surrender the target now, and I will let your people live. No deal, Doan said firmly. Dr. Park removed the last barnacle from Yongwan's head, and everything changed. The dragon's transformation was breathtaking. Golden light flowed across his scales like liquid fire. The dull gray color gave way to brilliant crystal patterns that seemed to contain stars. His eyes blazed with power that had been locked away for 2 centuries. But most impressive was his size. As the parasite's influence faded, Yangwen began to shift into his true form. His body stretched and expanded until he nearly filled the hidden chamber. He was magnificent and terrible and beautiful all at once. "I remember," he said, his mental voice now strong enough to reach everyone on the station. "I remember who I was before the chains." The holographic data crystal floating above him suddenly expanded, filling the chamber with images of his past. But these were not the painful memories he had shared before. These showed the truth of what happened to the destroyed colony. The humans watched in amazement as the crystal revealed evidence of Yangwan's innocence. Video recordings showed his brother Muhan arriving at the colony world. They saw Muhan's forces attacking the peaceful settlement while Yangwan was light years away, trying to negotiate peace with another species. Most damning of all, they saw Muhan planting evidence that would frame his brother for the crime. "My own brother," Yangwen said sadly. He wanted power more than family, more than truth. But the crystal contained more than just evidence. It held the accumulated knowledge of the Star Dragon civilization. Star maps, showing safe routes through dangerous space. Scientific advances that could help younger species. Art and music and poetry from a culture thousands of years old. "This is why Muhan wanted me dead," Yangwan explained. "Not just to hide his crime, but to prevent this knowledge from reaching others. He wanted the Star Dragons to remain scattered and afraid." Vorthok had been listening to everything, and now he made his own calculation. The bounty on Yangwan was substantial, but the knowledge in that crystal was worth far more. If he could claim both the dragon and the data, he would never need to hunt again. "New terms," he announced. "I will take the target and the crystal. In exchange, your station will not be destroyed." "Counteroffer," said a new voice from the chamber entrance. Everyone turned to see Security Chief Kusik standing there with a squad of heavily armed officers. But they were not alone. Behind them stood Engineer Ji Wu, Pilot Wu Yang, Communications Officer Hai Jin, and dozens of other station personnel. "You leave our friend alone," Kusik continued, "and we let you and your hunters depart with your lives." Vorthok looked around the chamber. He was outnumbered, outgunned, and facing a fully powered Star Dragon who was no longer chained. His reinforcements were still minutes away, but he was also a professional bounty hunter who had survived by being ruthless. "If I cannot have the prize," he said, activating a device on his armor, "then no one can." The device was a quantum destabilizer. It would destroy everything within a kilometer radius, including the dragon, the crystal, and most of Kepler Station. Vorthok smiled behind his mask as the device began to charge. In 30 seconds, everything would be over. That was when Yangwan made his choice. He could escape now. With his powers restored, he could break through the station hull and flee to safety. The knowledge in his crystal would survive. He could warn his people about the hunters. But these humans had risked everything to save him. They had shown him kindness when they could have turned away. They had fought for his freedom when they could have saved themselves. Li Dawan had brought him food when he was starving. Kim Suji had protected him when she could have followed orders. Dr. Park had freed him from the barnacles despite the danger. Nam Ju had sabotaged enemy equipment to give him a chance. These people had become his friends. His family, Star Dragons. Did not abandon family. Yon gathered all his restored power and wrapped it around the quantum destabilizer. Golden light met destructive energy in a battle of opposing forces. The device fought against his control, but Yangwan held firm. "I will not let you hurt them," he told Vorthok through gritted teeth. The strain was enormous. Yangwan's scales began to crack from the effort, and golden blood dripped onto the chamber floor. But he held on, containing the device's destructive force until it finally overloaded and shut down. Vorthok stared in disbelief as his ultimate weapon failed. Impossible. No one has that much power. "You are wrong," Yangwan said, his voice echoing with ancient authority. "I have something you will never understand. I have friends who believe in me." The star dragon rose to his full height, no longer weak or chained. He was a being of legend made real, terrible in his power, but gentle in his heart. Vorthok and his remaining hunters fled. Without another word, as the sound of their ships departing faded, Yongwan looked down at his human friends. They had given him back his freedom, but more than that, they had given him back his faith and goodness. "Thank you," he said simply. Doan smiled up at his friend. "What happens now?" Yongwan's golden eyes sparkled with hope. "Now we show the galaxy that star dragons and humans can be allies. We find my scattered people and bring them home, and we make sure that no one else suffers what I suffered." The data crystal pulsed with gentle light, ready to share the knowledge of an ancient civilization with new friends. The age of the Human-Dragon Alliance was about to begin. 6 months after the battle at Kepler Station, Li Duan stood on the observation deck of the starship Unity. Watching as they approached the hidden dragon colony of Serenity's Edge, next to him, Youngwon had taken a smaller form that could fit comfortably inside human ships, though he still sparkled with crystalline beauty. "Are you nervous?" Doan asked his friend. Terrified, Youngwon admitted through their mental link. "I have not seen my people in over 2 centuries. Many of them may still believe I am a criminal." But when the Unity's message was broadcast to the colony, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Ships rose from the hidden world to escort them safely home. The Star Dragons had received Yongwan's data crystal weeks ago, transmitted through quantum networks. They knew the truth now as their ship landed on the crystal platform. Hundreds of dragons gathered to welcome their lost brother home. They came in all sizes and colors, some as large as buildings, others as small as horses. All of them shimmered with the same inner light that made Yongwan so beautiful. The leader of the colony was an ancient dragon named Siowan, whose scales were silver with age. She approached Yongwan slowly, her ancient eyes filled with sorrow and joy. "Yongwan," she said, her mental voice carrying across the platform. "We thought you were dead. We mourned for you. I would have been dead," Yongwan replied. "If not for my human friends." He gestured to the crew of the Unity. Besides Dewan, the ship carried Kim Suji, Dr. Park Minho, and several other volunteers from Kepler Station. They had come as the first human ambassadors to the dragon colonies, so studied the humans with interest. "These small beings saved you from the hunters." "More than that," Youngwen said. "They saved me from despair. They reminded me what friendship means." Well, the welcome ceremony was unlike anything the humans had ever experienced. Dragons shared their memories directly, creating a collective celebration where everyone could feel the joy and relief of Yongwen's return. The humans found themselves included in this mental embrace. Accepted as honored guests and friends, Dr. Park was fascinated by everything he saw. The dragon colony was a marvel of biotechnology, where buildings grew like living crystals and ships were shaped from starlight itself. But more impressive was the culture. Despite their power, the dragons lived in harmony with their environment and each other. "Your people are amazing," Park told Siowan during a tour of the colony's archives. "As are yours," the ancient dragon replied. "We have studied the records Yongwan sent us. Humans show remarkable courage for such young beings. You protected him when you could have saved yourselves. He needed help," Dewan said simply. That was enough. Over the following days, the humans learned more about dragon history and culture. The Star Dragons had once been the teachers and protectors of the galaxy, helping younger species develop technology and explore space safely. But Mahan's betrayal had shattered their confidence and driven them into hiding. "We forgot our purpose," Siowan explained. "We became afraid that if we revealed ourselves, more would suffer like Yongwan did." "But now you know the truth," Suji said. "Muhan was the criminal, not Yang. Your people are innocent." "Yes, and that means we can reclaim our role as guardians. But we cannot do it alone." That was when Siowan made an unexpected proposal. She wanted to establish a formal alliance between the Star Dragons and humanity. The dragons would share their knowledge and protection, while humans would help them reconnect with the galaxy they had abandoned. "Humans have something we dragons lost," she explained. "You have the courage to trust strangers. You reach out to those who need help, even when it is dangerous. These are qualities we need to remember. The negotiations took weeks, but eventually the Alliance Charter was signed. Kepler Station would become the first joint human-dragon facility, a symbol of cooperation between species. Other stations and colonies would follow, creating a network of safe harbors throughout the galaxy. But there was still one piece of unfinished business. Yangwen's brother Muhan had learned about the Alliance and was gathering forces to stop it. He commanded a fleet of corrupted dragons, beings who had been twisted by technology similar to the barnacles that had once tormented Yangwan. Muhan could not allow his crimes to be fully exposed, so he planned to destroy both the human allies and any dragons who opposed him. The final confrontation came in the space near Kepler Station. Muhan arrived with 12 corrupted dragons and a fleet of hunter ships. His own form had been drastically altered by mechanical implants that gave him power but took away his natural beauty. Brother Muhan's voice echoed across space as his forces surrounded the station. You always were too trusting. These humans will betray you as soon as they no longer need you. You are wrong, Yangwan replied, taking his full battle form among the stars. They have already proven their loyalty. The battle that followed was epic in scope. Dragons fought dragons in space, while human ships darted between them like swift birds. The corrupted dragons were powerful, but they fought alone. Yangwen and his allies fought as a team, protecting each other and combining their strengths. But it was not force that won the battle. It was compassion. During the fiercest part of the fighting, Dewan did something that shocked everyone. He piloted a small shuttle directly toward Mahan, broadcasting on all frequencies. Han, he called out, I know you can hear me. Your brother told me about you? About what you used to be before you chose this path. The corrupted dragon paused in his attack, surprised by the human's boldness. You were not always evil, Dewan continued. Yangwen remembers when you were kind. When you cared about protecting innocent people, that part of you is still in there somewhere. Lais Muhan snarled, but his voice carried less conviction. I forgive you, Dewan said simply. For what you did to my friend, for the pain you caused, I forgive you, and so does he. It is not too late to choose a different path. Those words, spoken with genuine compassion, did what weapons could not. They reached the small spark of goodness that still existed deep inside Mahan's corrupted heart. The mechanical dragon stopped fighting and began to remember what he had lost. The innocent lives destroyed by his ambition. The brother he had betrayed out of jealousy. The civilization he had helped to scatter. With a roar of anguish, Muhan tore the corrupting implants from his own body. The mechanical parasites fell away like broken chains, revealing the true dragon underneath. He was scarred and changed, but he was himself again. The other corrupted dragons, his team their leader freed, began to remove their own technological parasites. The hunter fleet, faced with a unified force of humans and dragons, retreated rather than face certain destruction. In the aftermath, Muhan approached his brother slowly, his head bowed in shame. I do not deserve forgiveness, he said. But you have it anyway, Yangwan replied. That is what family means. The reunion was not easy. There were still consequences for Mahan's crimes, and many dragons would never fully trust him again. But he was given a chance to make amends, to help rebuild what he had helped destroy. Years passed. The Human-Dragon Alliance grew stronger, spreading peace and knowledge throughout the galaxy. Space stations like Kepler became beacons of cooperation where different species worked together as equals. Dewan became the first human, ambassador to the Dragon Worlds, though he always insisted he was just a maintenance worker who had gotten lucky. Yangwan served as his counterpart, helping to establish new colonies and rescue other forgotten beings who needed help. Kim Suji commanded the Joint Defense Fleet that protected Alliance worlds from those who would exploit the weak. Dr. Park led research teams that combined human curiosity with dragon wisdom to make amazing discoveries. But perhaps most importantly, they proved that friendship could overcome fear, that compassion could triumph over hatred, and that even the smallest acts of kindness could change the course of history. In the maintenance bay of Kepler Station, now expanded into a gleaming symbol of interspecies cooperation. There was a small plaque that read, "In memory of a dragon who had given up hope, and a human who refused to let him surrender." Below it, in smaller letters, was a simple message. Sometimes the greatest strength comes from the willingness to help a stranger in need. Lidawan smiled every time he read those words. He was still a maintenance worker, though his duties now included maintaining dragon biotechnology as well as human machines. The work was more complex than before, but also more rewarding. And sometimes, when he worked alone in the quiet corridors, he could hear the distant sound of dragon song echoing through the station. It was Yongwan and his people singing the ancient melodies of hope and friendship that connected all living beings across the stars. The galaxy was a larger and more wonderful place than Dowan had ever imagined. And it all started with a simple decision to share his lunch with someone who was hungry. The age of the Human-Dragon Alliance had begun, and the future burned bright with possibility.